It is the silver lining of the pandemic is that it has brought to the forefront and made possible, actually forced us to implement things that we knew were good for us.
In my experience, the whole hybrid remote work era has largely turned on the concept of accessibility, which every company is going to define differently. But one company that delivers a sort of financial accessibility has some lessons that are actually universal for almost any organization. Jude Komuves is Chief People Officer at Affirm.
Now, Jude, you have to be living under a rock to not know Affirm, because we see you just about in every shopping cart and shopping site on the web, it seems, but not everyone knows what you do. Tell us in a nutshell, what is Affirm?
So Affirm is a transparent alternative to credit cards, and it really just gives consumers incredible flexibility to upgrade whatever it is that they're wanting to purchase into a very clear, transparent, no hidden fees, no late fees way to pay whatever it is that they might want. You can split your purchases into bi-weekly or monthly payments, very budget friendly. We like to think of it as really the way to purchase and to transact that works for the consumer.
I know you're in the financial services business, but I also think you're in the accessibility business. So that echoes remote and hybrid work, where we had to learn a lot of lessons about making sure the resource, work, became accessible to the people who have to do it. What was the biggest challenge of an enormous growth year for you in a remote work environment?
There were so many, Brian. As you mentioned, it was an incredible period of growth for us. We went from, a team of a couple hundred people to just north of 2,000. We transitioned from being a private company to a public company. We went from being all co-located in maybe a couple of small offices to being distributed certainly throughout the United States, and now also in 5 different countries around the world. And so everything about our company and our team changed really quickly overnight as we all went home for those 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And now here we are as a fully remote first distributed team and making the best of it.
So the one that I thought was most interesting is what you were telling me earlier about recruitment, onboarding, and what we call L&D, learning and development. And most of the time, that's sort of prescribed. At our company, you are onboarded and you get into the work stream and become one of us this way. You've made that much more flexible in response to remote and hybrid work. What have you done there?
That's right. On the recruiting front, we started from what are we going to do? Gosh, how are we going to ever hire again if we can't meet people in person? And we very quickly pivoted to all online and actually found a couple of really amazing benefits. We were able to hire a much more diverse set of humans from lots of different walks of life, but also helped us hire that much faster, right? We didn't have to worry about flying folks out. So it's really accelerated our ability to hire, which of course is what's helped us get from that couple hundred to couple thousand size team. On the onboarding front, again, we used to do everything in person, mostly in our San Francisco HQ. And then certainly on the L&D side, we used to rely on managers learning from each other through osmosis and just that organic in-person serendipitous run-in. We now run a lot of programs for our managers. One of our programs is called Manager Momentum, which is really sort of the first foray that folks have into what does it mean to be a manager and a leader at a firm, to make sure that they have the skills that they need to really lead their teams in the most effective way.
Sounds like you've flattened things out through a hybrid environment that at least inspired you to do so.
The nature of the company is very collaborative, is very entrepreneurial, very ownership oriented. We do a company all hands every 2 weeks, and we give our employees a chance to submit questions in advance. We also have a chat going in real time as the meeting is happening. And it's really about just us working together and winning together as a team.
So let's talk about something you just mentioned. You talked about other channels that are used simultaneously with, let's say, a hybrid or a remote meeting or get together at the company. What's your philosophy on those? Are they a distraction or are they an enrichment to the main event when they're all happening at the same time?
We found them, certainly to be incredibly enriching and additive to having a collective conversation and giving everyone the chance to participate. We have a number of different channels that we use that range from, team topics to community groups have their own channels to just folks that people are topics that people are interested in. Every time we have a company all hands, we start a specific channel just for that all hands do a roll call. Folks are sharing stories, pictures, gifts. And so it's really been a great way for folks to be able to participate and contribute to the conversation in a way that they maybe wouldn't have been able to when we were all in person.
So Jude, a lot of what we've seen in many organizations, maybe yours too, is that remote work, hybrid work has actually not allowed people or inspired them to slack off. It's almost gone the other way. People are spending so much time working that employers are now saying, please take some time off and take care of yourself. What are you doing to make sure that happens at Affirm?
Well, we certainly work hard. We have a pretty audacious mission and a lot that we want to continue to build and deliver. So we don't shy away from that. At the same time, we really want to support the team. And very similarly, we found at the beginning of the pandemic that people essentially stopped taking vacation. And we tried a number of different experiments, but landed on extending longer weekends, 3-day weekends, 4-day weekends, and rolled out a program called Away Days, where the entire company has a unified day off. Often corresponds with a public company holiday, but sometimes not. We actually just had an away day yesterday. And so it was a random Monday. We try to have at least one or two every month. And it's a chance for us to be offline, a chance for the entire company to take that pause together. Certainly is much nicer than when you go away on vacation and the emails just keep coming in and the work keeps coming in. And you're never really truly disconnected or relaxed. And so it's just a really nice way for people to take a moment for themselves in whatever way they need.
Those would have all been a good idea 3+ years ago. And yet it sounds like the pandemic, like so many other things, kind of gave us a spark in so many companies like yours to say, well, now is the time to do it, not the only time we could have done it.
Everything that you're seeing is just an acceleration of something that could have existed and in likelihood should have existed long ago. It is the silver lining of the pandemic is that it has brought to the forefront and made possible, actually forced us to implement things that we knew were good for us. It's just been such an incredible journey and one of lots of lessons learned and lots of really great impact to the business.